Hey, can anyone hear me? Hey, so I'm not sure. Oh, hold on a second. There's still an echo. Oh, yep. Hey, Rich, I had a quick question.
Yeah, what's up?
So, Eric Shaw sent me the link for this because I misplaced the last email. Now, if I click his link, I come up as Eric right now. Can he still join on that same link?
You should be able to, yeah.
Okay. And I was getting an echo because I'm going to do the video off my phone. So I think once I'm done, I think I'm going first.
You want to mute yourself on one device and only have one device as your audio.
All right.
Hey.
Hey, Eric, since I joined that link on your email, I'm also Eric.
You're Eric as well. Nice.
Hey, guys.
Hey, I know that guy.
Yo.
Give it another 5 minutes or so for folks to trickle in.
How's it going?
Who's the host here? Can we see how many people we have in? I don't think I have visibility for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of looking for see who's around.
All right. So if I talk now, there's no echo, right?
You sound okay, Joe.
All right.
So yeah, we've got, stop that share. We've got about 3 minutes to go here. I'm trying to see the participants now. There we go, 24 of us in here. That's pretty good. Folks have a couple minutes just to come on in. So who do we have here? We got Dr. Shaw, we got Justin, we got Ben from the ADK. Who's second Eric here with the signed in account?
That's Joe. That's me.
Oh, okay.
On two devices. The phone's going to be the video, and the laptop's going to be the audio.
Gotcha. That's the one. Okay.
There we go.
I'm bringing on another one too. So
Oh, great. Now there's 4 of you.
yeah. Because I want to use one as a camera.
Excellent. Excellent. All righty, folks. Yeah, so let's get it kicked off. We're at about 8 o'clock now. Got 19 folks logged in. I guess a couple people might come in a little bit late. But yeah, so my name is Richard Murray. I'm the Assistant Director for Winter Mountaineering School for 2021. In more precedented times, we would be having our live program in a couple of weeks up in Lake Placid, but here we are going virtual this year. So welcome and thank you for joining us. So just a little bit about us, if you don't know already. We are an all volunteer group of winter outdoor educators based out of the Adirondack Lodge in Lake Placid, New York. And yeah, normally like last weekend of January, first week of February, we host a series of educational programs designed to transition kind of 3-season hikers into what we like to call the best season, the no mud and no bugs season. And so yeah, and we've got a bunch of different programs, everything from day hiking out of a front country lodge. We've got day hiking from backcountry lodges, backpacking trips, combinations of different things, and hopefully, you know, if you guys kind of get a good sense of kind of how we do things here, you can check out our programs when we post them for the upcoming season in 2022 when we're back to normal. But now I'll introduce Dr. Eric Shaw and his assistant Joe, and Justin Ray, our advisory board president, kind of runs things behind the scene with a lot of the planning for us. And I'll hand it over to these folks to start talking about first aid kits.
Cool. Welcome, everybody. My name is Eric Shaw. I'm an emergency doc at Upstate in Syracuse. And Joe and Justin and I are going to talk about first aid kits and wilderness first aid kits. We're going to start with kind of a slideshow from each of us, just our general impressions about first aid kits, and then we'll kind of disgorge our own first aid kits for you and show you what you got, and show you what we have. I'll go first, if you don't mind, Joe and
Yeah.
Justin. Do you mind if I share screen, Richard?
Oh, by all means, yeah, share away. It's your show.
All right. Can you see that?
We've got you.
Okay. So
Yeah,
the first thing I want to talk about is just the principles of wilderness first aid kits. And there's not a one size fit all. It's really based on what you need for that particular trip. And I just broke it down into a mnemonic. It's the ABCDs. It's what your activities are, your location, your weather, and then planned activities. You know, if you're going to be rock climbing or ice climbing or mountaineering or doing whatever, and also some of the unplanned activities, you know, expecting for, you know, a night out that you didn't expect. So it's, you know, the unplanned activities you want to plan for as well, the oxymoron of that. Number two is the bodies, the number of people, and then, you know, how many supplies you're going to need. And obviously it's going to be different if it's just you out on a trail versus, you know, you're taking care of 20 people. The composition of those people is also important. You know, their age, if it's, you know, septuagenarians that are at risk of heart attacks versus a bunch of kids on a Boy Scout trip. That's you know, those are different things you're going to bring. Their health status is related to that. And then special needs, you know, if it's, you know, depending on the population, if you have, even if you have special needs kids, or if you have, you know, other groups that, you know, that are, you know that some of them have diabetes, and you want to make sure that you take, you know, to make sure that their sugars are well controlled. And then finally, the duration, the trip length it also determines how much you're going to bring with you. You know, if you have an expectation of, you know, you're going to be out for 2 weeks and you're going to be hiking for the entire time, you need to bring a lot of moleskin. And so those are just the basics of when you're thinking about it. If you just think about the ABCDs, what are the things that I want to bring and what are specific for my trip? Another principle of wilderness first aid kits is just, you know, redundancy. These three things are the things that I think about when we're out in the woods, and not only just for first aid kits, but for survival. You know, redundancy is the key to survival. The more things you can use for the same function, the less likely the loss of that thing is going to be critical. And, you know, you call it, you know, the mission critical things. Versatility is the key to efficiency. And so the more functions a thing has, the fewer things need to be carried. That's why I always bring a multi-tool. It weighs a lot, and I don't like to carry a lot of things that weigh a lot, but the multi-tool is you know, I think it's fantastic. And then improvisation is the key to limited resources. Wilderness is defined as an area with limited resources. And so you want to be able to improvise. You want to be able to know what your things do and what you can do with them. And what you can improvise from the materials you have at hand, so you don't have to carry everything with you. This is just my little piece about my first aid kit. I get a lot of a lot of joking around about my survival kit, or my first aid kit is actually my survival kit, first aid kit, and repair kit together. It fits into a pack that I'll show you a little bit later, but it's a little bit big, it's a little bit heavy, but it's also, I carry this thing with me everywhere I go. It's in my backpack in my car. That is just, if something happens, I'm out there. And it's just I put this survival rule of threes out there because the prioritization of the things you carry with you is important. You know, the 3 minutes without oxygen and blood, you want to be able to compress a wound. You want to be able to put a tourniquet on a wound within, you know, a couple of minutes. And so not only do you need to carry those things with you, but they need to be easily accessible. So if somebody's bleeding to death, you want to be able to get to those quickly. 3 hours without shelter. This is particularly important in the wintertime when, you know, we want to make sure that we have heat and warmth, because you can die of hypothermia fairly quickly. So you want to keep things, you know, you want to be able to have shelter very quickly. Water is something that, you know, you can last 3 days without water. But that being said, if you're going to be out there for longer, you need to be able to have access to water, and access to water that is safe to drink. So I always bring something with me that's, you know, that I can boil water with, something that I have the ability to make fire with. And then food is kind of one of those things where that's, you know, a lot of times people think, oh my God, I'm going to starve to death when I'm out in the woods. That's probably the least of your concerns if you're in a survival situation. It's kind of the last thing. It's good to have around, especially if you have somebody with diabetes, and somebody that's, you know, that's actually more of a medical concern. But otherwise, you know, you can survive quite a while without food, and it's not not really part of a survival kit. Then that kind of gets to the, you know, do we really need a first aid kit? You know, I think, you know, a lot of the stuff we carry has this versatility that, you know, we can use a lot. You know, I carry a couple little bandages, you know, cravats and handkerchiefs, that kind of thing. I don't carry any gauze bandages for compression. I don't carry anything specific because I am just going to, if somebody's bleeding, I'm just going to take one of those bandages and slap it on the wound and just put compression on it. I'm going to put a tourniquet on. So I think those are the primary things that you should be carrying, and everything else is kind of a nice to have. You know, it's nice to have artificial tears. It's nice to have ibuprofen, but do you really need it? Is it really, you know, mission critical? Is it really going to stop somebody? You know, it's going to make things a lot easier. It's going to make a lot more comfortable, moleskin particularly, but otherwise, you know, a lot of it is, there's not a whole lot you can do out in the woods as far as you know, the critical things like bleeding and such. And the things that we do want to care, you know, like I said, you want to have stuff to take care of the critical things, which is that tourniquet and compressions. And then the stuff to take care of the common things, you know, blisters and cuts and scrapes and sprains and bruises and reflux, acid reflux and diarrhea and pain. You know, those are the common things that I carry, that I put in a first aid kit, but it's not really first aid. It's kind of you know, in the true sense of the word, it's really just, this is, you know, stuff to make the trip a little bit easier for somebody that's, you know, in a little distress when they're out there. As far as improvisation, the things that I think of is you should have something to bind things together. And so, yes, I carry rope, I carry cord, I carry some duct tape, which is, you know, the things that everybody thinks of when you put a first aid kit is, I would say duct tape and safety pins are probably the best thing you can bring. And, you know, per weight, it's probably, it's such a great thing because you can strap anything to anything with duct tape. You know, something rigid for splinting. You know, we have these SAM splints, these moldable things. You know, for most of the places that we're going and most of the things that we do, we have something rigid in our packs, in our tents, in our, you know, in the trees. And I mean, so I don't really think we carry any, I think carrying a SAM splint is probably redundant and unnecessary. So I don't really carry anything like that. Something to cut and pierce. Metal knives, you know, safety pins. If you have glass is a good, you know, I'm not going to carry that in my first aid kit, but if you have it and you don't have anything else, glass is a good thing to cut with. Something to pull things out is, you know, I carry a pair of tweezers. I think the only thing I carry that's metal in my really concise first aid kit is really, you know, a Leatherman and tweezers just to pull something out. But even with safety pins, you can probably pull, you know, if you have a sliver there or something like that, you can probably pull that out. Getting rid of a tick or something along those lines, you can probably pull that out with, you know, with fingernails if you need to. It's not ideal, but if you have to. And then something to generate pressure. This is more or less to, you know, to irrigate a wound. You just bring a plastic bag. I carry a syringe with me. Just, it's light, it's plastic, it's easy. But if you know, in a pinch, you just use something that's going to generate pressure to irrigate a wound with a little bit of pressure on it. And then something to soak up fluids. You know, the cloth bandanas that I carry, if you want to carry dressings, sure. I think, you know, for the cloth bandanas, I wear one on my head if I'm, you know, if it's sunny or whatever, I've got it right there. It's, you know, as far as sterility of it, you're going to want to have something to sterilize. So, you know, something that you can put in, if you're out there and benighted for a while, if you have to replace bandages, you're going to want to boil the bandages in the dressings in boiling water. So not bandages. And then, you know, have something to, you know, to sterilize metal tools if you need to, you know, get at something in a wound, you know, like a sliver. Other things that are not, you know, sort of the thinking of wilderness first aid kits, but like, you know, you need something to communicate. So if you have, you know, if you're out there, you want to be able to get somewhere or get help. And so either a signal mirror, a fire, a radio, something to communicate with the outside world. A sat phone is great, but you know, if you don't have that, you got to improvise. And then something to keep you safe. Gloves and hand sanitizer. I keep those with me. I just carry a pair of gloves with me, and then a little bit of hand sanitizer. You know, everybody should have hand sanitizer in their pack somewhere, anyways. So I carry a little bit in my first aid kit, particularly for that. So just in case it's, you know, when I pop my kit open, it's just okay. It's there, and I have it available. As far as medications go, you know, I can prescribe a bunch of good stuff for my kit, but you know, as far as what you should be able to put in your own kit, the over-the-counter medications, the generic works just as well as the trade. Ibuprofen and Tylenol, you know, I just carry ibuprofen with me. I don't even carry Tylenol. I usually carry something that it's an antihistamine, Benadryl by pill. For GI things, you know, for somebody has diarrhea, I carry Imodium, I carry some Mylanta. for GI upset. And then for skin issues, hydrocortisone cream and an antibacterial cream. For allergic reactions, if somebody has an itchy rash from poison ivy, I'm going to use hydrocortisone. An antibacterial cream I'll use for if somebody gets a cut or a scrape. Moleskin for blisters, and then Band-Aids. For a long time I kind of poo-pooed Band-Aids, but I think they make things so much easier. If you have a cut on your finger from whatever, and you're trying to walk around camp and do things with this, bleeding wound, or it just keeps dirt into it and everything, the Band-Aids I think it's worth their weight to carry a couple of them. And then if you have somebody that's out there that, it's a older population, you're worried about heart attacks, carry a little bit of aspirin. And that's pretty much, that's my fast and furious, just what I have for just a slideshow presentation. And then we'll go through our kits after Joe and Justin give their talk as well.
All right, I'll share my screen here. All right, everyone can see that?
Yep, you're good.
All right, so yeah, so I'll kind of echo a lot of kind of what Eric says. This is going to be kind of a faster presentation myself, few slides which kind of get the general idea. So we did intros, but I'm Joe Galvin. I've been involved with the program for my 3rd year. I was a student a few years before that. I'm also a member on New Jersey Search and Rescue for 4 years, and their mountain rescue unit for 4 years, and kind of been climbing, mountaineering for about 6. So I'll touch base on the kit I bring for SAR, which is a bit more bulky and extensive, and I might even use that for a lengthier trip, but I could also downsize. So just a couple things I'll talk about, again, kind of echoing the same thing as Eric. We'll talk about kit components of a first aid kit, some of the importance of organization of your medical kit. Can't stress it enough to know where everything is and really be familiar with your kit. Know what each item is, know how to use it. Maintaining your first aid kit. The first aid kits aren't something to just kind of purchase, keep at the bin, and then a few years later, you're using the same stuff. You want to keep on checking up on it. We'll talk about some of the options of first aid kits, and then I'm not going to be getting into splinting or treatment, so this isn't by any means a WFA class, but I would encourage anybody to try to take that if they could. So I guess one of the first things, if you're in the market for a first aid kit, is how big to go. There's so many different size first aid kits out there. You'll walk into REI and see like this red one, this small one, the ultralight. Adventure Medical makes multiple ones, and people might think about the bigger one and the more expensive one. Oh, bigger sense of security. Not necessarily. You want to be familiar with your kit. So organization's key. Like you could see in the first picture, looks like it's just bought out of the store, really organized, but again, you want to still know where everything is. You don't want to kind of have that yard sale effect where you have to rip everything out to find everything. Open it up, be familiar with it, understand what's in your medical kit. I have a couple pictures here. I know Eric mentioned the irrigation tool. I have a tourniquet. So just know how to use everything, especially, a tourniquet. You want to be familiar with actually putting that on and some of the procedures that, follows with that. And then understanding generic names. So you'll purchase these kits, a lot of them, and all the medications, a lot of them are by generic names. And if somebody needs something, you don't want to just go into your kit and say, well, I have diphenhydramine, Lopa, and not really know what they are, so kind of be familiar with them, maybe even write on them a little cheat sheet of kind of what they are, know what's Imodium, know what's acetaminophen, and kind of just be familiar with them. You don't want to, in the middle of the rain, be flipping these little packets on the other side and trying to read what they actually are. And then expiration dates and restocking. These things do expire, so just keep an eye on them. Again, you want to kind of maintain that first aid kit. Don't just buy it as that sense of security and then kind of forget about it. You want to always look through it, always restocking, and like I said, check on your medical kit before trips. And then, as Eric said, the lengthier trip, if you want to adjust. So when we later on get into the videos, see I have some extensive extensive kits, but then for short outings, I might kind of break things down a little bit, and depending on the group size, take what's appropriate. And then waterproof. If there's anything I've seen over the years of whether it's search or whether it's on trips, there's nothing really truly waterproof. So stuff sacks, plastic bags are great for organization. And that's what I have real quick for kind of just a high speed on first aid kits.
Great, thanks. Yeah, and just to let everyone know, I think I threw it in the chat there, but there's a little Q&A button down at the base of the screen. If you kind of wake up your mouse there, or your cursor, whatever you got, and you guys can, any of the attendees can type in questions, and we'll address them as we can.
Cool beans. I guess I'm up. So hi, this is Justin Ray. I am an instructor, obviously, with Winter Mountaineering School. I've been involved with the program in some way, shape, or form for over a decade now. And as Rich mentioned at the top of this, I am your advisory committee chair. So I kind of help run things on the background and sort of corral everybody's ideas and thoughts and how to run the program. And then twice a year, we actually hold meetings, going into our second year of virtual meetings now. So we usually hold one right in the beginning of the spring. So usually as a recap to the program, and then we conduct another one in the fall too, sort of as a look ahead and to prepare for the next year's program. So all are actually welcome to join us on those meetings. So if anyone is interested, I'm not sure if we're going to provide contact info, but I think there's a way to get in touch with us, or me in particular, if you are interested in participating in that. So yeah, you know, in terms of first aid kits, you know, I usually try to think about, you know, what kind of trip I'm going on, and how many people are going, and just what the nature of it is. So, but for the most part, I kind of just have 2 kits at the ready for my outdoor outings, and I'll add certain things and take certain things out depending on the time of the year. So really, I can show you guys, this is about the size of my personal first aid kit. So this is what goes with me on most trips. It's good for me and my own personal needs, and it's about the size of a pencil pouch here. And what I really like about this thing too is that in the warmer months, I have an extra pouch here in the front that actually fits 2 EpiPens, which I have to carry for myself for stinging insect reactions. So it fits really nice in there. In the cooler months and in the cold months, I don't carry those. I just kind of have a nice little multi-tool that also hangs out in there. And then normally, it's been about a solid calendar year since I led any kind of group trip, but I do carry this thing, and this is actually it's a shave kit, but I like it because it's nice and bright orange, and this is my group first aid kit, and this is what I typically carry as an instructor for Winter Mountaineering School, or if I'm going out, you know, with a trip with my family. So there will be, like, you know, 2 adults and 1 child. And there too, it's pretty, you know, I feel like it's pretty versatile for that. And the reason why I actually made 2 kits is before I used to have like a pouch and just a box of like first aid supplies. And then I would figure out like, where am I going? What am I doing? And then just kind of cobble everything together and throw it into a bag and feel like I'm good to go. And I've also found out, realized, I should say, over the years that I've kind of sort of like piecemealed together first aid kits and supplies from like various other ones that I purchased. And you know, find out like something's missing or whatever, or like get out in the field and like, oh, you know, missing something I wanted or kind of important. So just sort of came to the realization, just like make a variety of kits that you know you're going to use, and really the primary purpose I have for them is to kind of scale it up and down depending on group size. So it's really like I said, I have like a personal one, an individual one that goes pretty much with me anywhere on almost any outing, and then this big guy here. And then, not to confuse anybody anything more, but I also carry a first aid kit for my dog too. And I don't need to go into a lot of detail on that, but I do a lot of outings with my dog, and I carry a few things in there too. And I can certainly talk about what's in here offline. I guess I will go first and kind of do a little show and tell and what's in my kit. And
Justin, before we get into the show and tell,
yeah, sorry, I don't. Yeah,
we just had a question from the audience. Tom is asking on the panelist's opinion of a prepackaged kit versus something that you build your own. And so any of the
I can go on that one first. So I've done both, and I would say a prepackaged one is nice, like a pre-made kit, like if it's your first foray into a first aid kit. Over the years, I've kind of gleaned off of stuff I like from seeing other people's kits and advice, and just kind of picking things over. And that's how I've kind of come to where I'm at now with things I've made on my own, and for needs. You know, Joe and Eric, you know, feel free to insert your opinions here too.
I mean, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, you can go ahead, Eric.
I pretty much make my own. And so, you know, I realize how much, you know, the stuff that I use most commonly, and the stuff that a lot of the first aid kits that I've seen, the prepared ones there are things in there that I don't think are absolutely necessary to carry around. I mean, there are things like, you know, alcohol swabs that, you know, they don't weigh that much, but I'm kind of like, you know, I'm just going to use soap and water anyways to clean off a wound. I'm not going to use an alcohol prep pad or anything like that. So there's certain things in there that I think they're not critical. They also don't weigh a whole lot. So I'm kind of whatever. It doesn't, I like making my own because I know exactly what's in there. I know exactly how long it's been in there. I know what, you know, so I like making my own. But other than that, yeah, I don't think it's wrong to have a prepared first aid kit. I think they're, you know, some of them are made pretty well. But I think doing your own is probably better because then you know exactly what's in there, exactly what you need. You know, taking a prepared first aid kit as a basic is just kind of like, okay, I'm going to take this and see what's in there and then add on whatever or subtract out some things. I think that's probably the best way to go.
Yeah, I think I kind of do a combination. I make my own also, but I'll use some of the prepared kits, like just the bag, the casing, and kind of put what I want and maybe relabel some things. But yeah, I do like creating them my own because again, you are in control of exactly what's in there. I have kind of a combination for search. I have one of the pre-made kits, but I've taken a lot of the stuff out and then put some of the stuff in that I do like. But that kit is kind of like I have time to work with, kind of like medications, some Band-Aids, but I have other things I've kind of custom made for like bleeding or trauma where I exactly know what's in it. So I think they're great to start off with and to work off of, and you can always modify them, but no, they are good. There's some good ones out there.
Right on. So Jen, shall I go first or anyone?
You want to keep on doing answering questions first?
Or is that it? Actually, yeah, Rich, is that everything we had in the chat?
Couple.
There's one that says, are dry bags recommended to insert the kit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Jamie asked, she's interested in what's in your pet first aid kit, and maybe just kind of go through a couple of things. I bet there's a lot of dog owners out there, and I definitely can sympathize with injured dog in the field.
Sure. Yeah, I just threw that in because it's in like my tote that I keep all my first aid kits in. It's pretty basic. first thing, I like to keep these sort of lubricant eye drops, kind of like pre-measured ones. Keep those in there for any kind of eye irritant or injury out there for your furry friend. A roll of vet wrap too, because this is great. And I actually keep this in my, I keep another roll too in my group first aid kit. This is nice because it's like a nice, helps close, wounds and kind of bandages things, and it doesn't stick to hair, which is really nice. Alcohol prep pads. I keep a couple sponges, surgical sponges in there just for any kind of open wounds or injury. And then more eye drops in there. And then I keep a couple triangular bandages in there too, just for like an all-purpose bandage. And then I have yet to size my dog for booties, but I love this in any kind of weather. This is called Musher's wax, and it's just basically beeswax, and it helps with their paws. So if you're out, it kind of helps keep any excessive road salt or any kind of debris off your pet's paws. And that is what's in my my doggy first aid kit. So, not to detract from our human first aid kit coverage tonight. Cool. So Joe or Eric, did you guys want to go? If you guys want to go first, otherwise I can keep talking here. So in my, I'm kind of show y'all in my personal first aid kit. Sorry, was there another question? Sorry, Rich, I don't mean to keep starting and stopping on this.
No, I think.
Was that it? Okay, yeah. All right, cool. So my personal first aid kit, it's, I'm gonna keep in there some conveniences so it'll make my trip easier, and not necessarily have a trip ender if I need a certain medication or I get a type of injury. What I'm thinking about is keeping my, if I have a wound, I'm keeping it clean, and a way to close it. Obviously, if there's anything more major than that, I'm getting the heck out of the woods. So what I like to keep first, and I joke too, I think Joe and Eric heard me joke about this earlier tonight, that my first aid kit is mostly Leucio tape and ibuprofen. But if you guys don't know what this is kind of a repackaged roll of Leucio tape. So this is just like a woven tape, not too dissimilar to like a woven material on like Band-Aids, but it has zinc in the adhesive and it sticks and it doesn't come off and it can stay on your skin for days, which I really like. And the reason why I really like this too is my feet are pretty prone to blisters. So almost as a preemptive measure, I will tape my heels up if I'm out for a really long hike or if I'm on a multi-day backpacking trip, and tape that on and it stays in place and it doesn't move, and my heels will stay nice and blister free. So I carry this, and this is just kind of wound from the original roll onto like a little Q-tip stick. And I have probably about a few, like maybe 2 or 3 yards taped on this too. So it's not bulky. It tears off pretty easily. I actually don't need scissors to tear it off either. I can just, or to cut it, like I can just tear it right off and it stays pretty well. And that'll go right into this little baggie here, which is full of various size of Band-Aids. And just really nice for any kind of wound closure. If you get any kind of minor cuts, which is nice. And then I also carry too, because again, I am prone to blisters. These specific, it's made by, it's the Band-Aid brand, but these are kind of like a padded Band-Aid. It has like a gel pad on there specifically for blisters, which is really nice. And then kind of staying on the blister train here too, I have a little bag of, this is called Woolies. It's just lamb's wool. Some of you might be familiar with it. This also kind of acts as maybe something similar to like moleskin. So it's just kind of like wool batting, and it's nice too if I feel like I'm getting any kind of toe bang or rubbing on my toes. It's good to put in between my toes, and it'll stay put too, and kind of add some cushioning. And it's wool too, so it adds, you know, it helps reduce friction on there. And then also I carry another bag. This is has alcohol wipes on it, a wound closure kit, and a few like sterile sponges too. So if I have like major bleeding or anything, or heavier bleeding on a cut or whatever, I can use that. And then just a triangular bandage too. Just sort of like carrying a tricot or a bandana. It's pretty it's pretty universal. And then the meds I carry on my personal kit, really just Benadryl, just an antihistamine, comes in real handy for me, especially during the summer. I've been caught out in the field a couple times where I've been, actually just this past September, I was out on a bike ride, a mountain bike ride, and I stumbled upon a yellow jacket nest, and this came in real handy and made my ride a little more pleasant back to the car. Also, I carry another vial of just repackaged ibuprofen. And then I carry a little sheet of Imodium too, an antidiarrheal. And that's really just in my personal one. And that kind of makes things a little more comfortable. Oh, and then too, I have this little emergency headlamp that I carry in my personal kit too, just acts as a backup. It's just like a little tiny thing of a headlamp that runs on a watch battery. So that's in there. And then in my group first aid kit, it's scaled up a little more. I don't need to go over every single thing in here, but I will show you some unique items for this. I would say first and foremost with a large first aid kit, I recommend making, if you guys can see this, this is just a little sheet, an inventory sheet, just an Excel file I keep on my computer. And then I can print out, I have it formatted to print out the small, that way I know exactly what's in here and I can always update it. And I can actually update it in the field if I need to as well. I carry a little field note in here too, if I have to make any kind of notes or communication on there, it's always nice to have. And then I might have lost it, but we as a winter mountaineering school, here it is, sorry. We as a winter mountaineering school instructors also carry a little soap note form. That's always in my kind of emergency kit. And that just kind of goes right into my group first aid kit too. If you've ever taken a wilderness first aid kit, you all will know what this is, but basically this is sort of like an incident cheat sheet in case anyone else needs to know what the heck happened to your victim or whatever. I think that's just probably an oversimplified description of that. And then in my group first aid kit too, I carry a few pairs of rubber gloves, and I have a little, it's like a little produce bag you might find at the grocery store for garbage and everything too, just to kind of keep things nice and neat. And then in this particular bag too, I have a pair of just shears in here as well. And then obviously in my group, or not obviously, but in my group first aid kit too, I carry more triangular bandages. A couple of the cool things that I like in here and that I kind of picked up, I kind of gleaned. So as probably my fellow mountaineering instructors can attest to, the cool thing about winter school and going out in groups is that you see what everybody else does and carries in their kits, not only their first aid kits, but whatever kind of other kits or tips and tricks that you go over there. So I picked a couple things up from another instructor last year that I thought were pretty cool and that I've tried myself. in terms of caring for wounds out in, when we're out in the field. And one thing that I really like, and I thought this was neat, so, and it's not cheap either, is this, it's sort of like a, it's called Duoderm. And it's sort of, the best way I can describe it, it's sort of like an extra thin dressing, and it has like a gel adhesive on it. So next to skin contact is really comfortable. I've used this kind of treating some blisters on my feet before, and even some burns on there that I've had on my arms or my hands, some like minor burns. And it's really nice too, because you can cut it to size and put it right over your wound or whatever, or your blister, and it stays put. And it actually won't, I've even like showered with one of these on too, and it doesn't kind of fall off when it gets wet either. And it's kind of neat. It's just a really kind of like gel-like soft material on the inside, so you're next to skin contact, but on the outside, it's just like a regular bandage. And it's called Duoderm. You can find it on Amazon. Like I said, they're not exactly cheap. Another cool thing that I picked up too from another instructor is also a wound kit. And these are made and kind of packaged. I found these through Knowles. What's in here is it is a clear bandage. So if you have like a cut or like any other type of wound that will probably need like a visual inspection from time to time, this is pretty neat because it has like a transparent window in it. The actual product is made by 3M. It's called Tegaderm, and it's really neat because it has like a clear window on it, and you can see right to the wound. And then in here too, just like a sterilized strip, a wound closure, and then this is just a little tincture of iodine and some gauze dressing in here too. And this is all kind of prepackaged. Yeah, I found this on Knowles after someone recommended it on their website. It was pretty cheap too. I think this only ran me like $2.50 for like one of them. You can buy multiple ones for like a larger discount. So I thought that was really neat. And again, it kind of goes with the larger theme too. It's like, we're treating wounds. So like cuts, punctures, scrapes, anything where we might need to close the wound pretty quick. And either treat it later or kind of treat it ongoing during the trip, depending on the type of injury on there, like that. And then, beyond that, it's just kind of like, this is more like a beefed up version of my personal kit. So I carry a little more Band-Aids, a larger roll of that Lukio tape I mentioned. I have a few other gauze pads in this package too, and a few rolls of gauze, and then a roll of duct tape too, again, to close. And so basically everything that I might want to close wounds or bandage is going to be in one package in here. And then I keep another package filled with kind of like overflow, but it's mostly medications. So, and they're actually labeled. So I keep a thing of ibuprofen labeled, Benadryl labeled, and Imodium labeled in there too. And also for winter trips, which is kind of nice, just in case of emergencies, just a pack of powdered gelatin. I think this is cherry flavored Jello. Just in case we need to kind of rewarm anyone or kind of get a good dose of sugar into anybody, this is good to have. And then, and then I also carry a thing of acetaminophen labeled. And the reason why I have all these labeled too is because I kind of run under the assumption too that I might not be the one utilizing this first aid kit too. So that's why each pouch is labeled. That's why I like to have the inventory on there clearly labeled, and just assume that I might encounter a situation where I have to hand it off to someone else and they know what the heck is in there. The only extra things that are in here that I may not have in my personal first aid kit too, so if I'm going out with a group, is my my CPR face shield. I also carry tweezers, and I just have a like a syringe in here as well. So not to steal my co-instructor's thunder, but I'm going to leave it there because I'm sure they have more exciting things to show. But you know, again, my philosophy too with like my larger group first aid kit is that I kind of keep a tighter inventory in there. Everything's clearly labeled, clearly marked, and I have it organized as if like I need to work under the assumption that I am not going to be the only person that needs to use that kit during my trip. So cool beans, and I will leave it there.
So yeah, just one thing before we continue, Justin, you
Right on.
continue on a couple of lines that that Dr. Shaw touched on as well. The idea of improvisation and also of you know, you went a lot into some of the different medications you were carrying, and one adage that that I've always heard in wilderness medicine is that improvisation is great, but the one thing that you can't improvise is medicine. So that's something you definitely want to have with you.
It's very true. I mean, it's, you know, it's, you know, things when you have an upset stomach after eating the, you know, the 10th day in a row of the dried, you know, rehydrated food, it's, you know, you'd like a little bit of Maalox, you'd like some Zantac or something along those lines. So yeah, making sure you carry some of those over-the-counter pills is important. You know, carrying, you know, the hydrocortisone cream for poison ivy and itchy rashes that you just don't even know where it's coming from. It's worth its weight. Joe, do you want to go next, or do you want me to?
Oh, but you can go if you want.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna switch this off and just. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just go through what I have, and I hope the lighting is okay. But so this is the bag that I carry all of my stuff in. It's not huge, but it's, like I said, I carry my survival kit, my repair kit, and my first aid kit all in the same thing. So just going down the survival kit and the repair kit quickly, just to understand what I'm talking about and why so many of these things have some versatility to them. But, you know, as Justin was saying, I've got my pad that has paper in it, which I can, you know, write something on, but I can also use as a fire starter. I've got some carabiners and, you know, keychain rings that are great for repairing things. I've got multiple ways of making fire, multiple lighters, matches, a fire starter, some other fire starters that I made. The multi-tool that I was talking about, the Leatherman, I carry a separate knife in the pack that's just in case I'm going to have to be out there and use it, so that the knife and the Leatherman doesn't go to waste. I've got my paracord to bind things together. As far as shelter goes, I've got an emergency poncho and an extra tarp. I've got some straps that, again, I can bind things together if a pack breaks. And then the omnipresent duct tape, a signal mirror, some extra batteries for my headlamp, and then, you know, some safety pins, some stuff to thread to repair anything with, the tweezers, more safety pins, and kind of a foldable scissors that actually is just on the Leatherman, and we've got an extra pair there. And then as far as the first aid part of the kit, so I've got multiple cravats and you know, the triangular bandages, and, you know, just a kerchief. The gloves I have here, the moleskin, I just have you know, depending on how long I'm going to go for, but this is just what I'm carrying around with me. And then as far as the medications go, I'm keeping a little bit of aspirin, my hand sanitizer, some artificial tears, some eye drops for like a redness reliever, ibuprofen, some Benadryl or diphenhydramine for allergic reactions, loperamide or Imodium for diarrhea. This is Zantac. It's ranitidine, which actually I probably should take out because it's been poo-pooed. The Zantac's been poo-pooed, so I'll probably pull that out. Mylanta. And then as far as skin things, I've got the antibiotic ointment, some hydrocortisone cream. This is a second thing of hydrocortisone cream. And then some Band-Aids, the syringe, and that's pretty much it. And sorry, I pulled this one out too. It's just a little bit of Aquaphor, which is just over the counter for like, irritated skin. And that's pretty much it. I'm sorry if there's an echo. It's coming through on my laptop. So it's this all fits into that small bag. If I just carry the first aid part of it and not really carry the other stuff, this could easily fit into a very small, like a fanny pack kind of thing. I also carry some medications, that I can prescribe, some Zofran, things for nausea and otherwise. But so that still fits into that bag, and I just keep that in the, more or less the bottom of my backpack. But if I have something that I need to throw on, like a tourniquet, I've got this right up there. I can throw on this as a tourniquet and tighten it off. So like I said, it's the redundancy of things, it's the versatility of things that helps with the improvisation and so on. So. And that's all I got.
All right, so I'll go on about my kits. I'll show you kind of my SAR kit, a little bit bigger, more extensive, and then show you how I might downsize a little bit for a smaller trip. So I kind of have a couple of bags. One bag here, nothing fancy, just triangular bandages. You can do a lot with these. I carry a couple of those. And then the two main bags, really, I have this red stuff sack. This is kind of like my trauma, stop the bleed, kind of act now bag. And then I kind of edited this, but one of the pre-made kits. This is kind of like my bag where I have time. Maybe there's a cut, maybe it's some medication. I'm not.
We're getting some feedback that people say they can't see what you're showing.
Oh, all right. Something here. Something like this a little bit better.
Are the people that said that they can't see anything, is it a problem with his video, or that he's just not putting the things that he's showing in the video in the screen?
He might have been presenting to the wrong camera because I think he's logged on with two devices.
Yeah, I got my phone in front of me. Is everybody good now if I show this up to here?
It's a black screen, so I think you're
Yeah, because when you talk, it projects the image of the thing you're talking into. So you need to be talking into the computer and showing to the computer, or talking into the phone and showing to the phone. Otherwise, it's going to keep hijacking your video feed.
So Joe, mute the computer and then unmute the phone.
All right, how we do it? Maybe we can leave the meeting actually.
Coming to us from the beyond.
I'm just on my phone.
Okay, yeah, I think you're good now.
All right. So, sorry about that, everybody. So I'll kind of restart. Then I don't know what people might have missed. So I'll show my bigger kit. It's for search and rescue, and then I'll show how I might downsize that for a smaller trip. But I pretty much got 3 bags here. One bag here, just of triangular bandages, and then I have 2 main bags. One being this red stuff sacks, kind of my trauma bag, kind of act now, stop the bleed, and then I kind of edited one of the pre-made kits. This bag is when I have time. some Band-Aids. I'll go into some Band-Aids, some medications, but I don't need to, act now where if I grab this red stuff sack, a couple of things I have in here. I have some shears. I have a knife. I actually carry an actual tourniquet. You can definitely makeshift ones. Carry what's called a quick clot. It's another way that you could stop the bleed. They sell those at REI. I actually carry a pressure bandage called an Israeli bandage. Also, definitely tons of ways that you can, create the effect of a pressure bandage without actually getting one, but kind of a nice to have. I carry a pulse ox on me, and then just some sponges to kind of, soak up anything. That's kind of like my trauma bag. And then out of this kit that I kind of edited myself, this is kind of like when I have time, medications, blister control. So for blister control, kind of like the other instructors, moleskin, mole foam. Some of the things I've been using for myself that I like is KT tape, and I'll show you. There's KT blister prevention tape, and then there's actually KT blister treatment. The KT tape, it kind of comes in strips already. This stuff sticks really, really well. And then the blister treatment, kind of if you don't take care of it right away and you actually have a blister, this stuff has seemed to be working pretty well where, it helps to maybe drain that blister first, but you can actually put that right over and it sticks pretty well. So besides the moleskin and mole foam, I've actually been liking the KT tape, something that I've come across. A couple other things here. I do carry some of the antiseptic towelettes, be okay. Duct tape. I kind of have, it is one of the pre-made kits, but I kind of have, I'll just show here, but I have it all categorized. So in one section, I have kind of blister control and wound care, a little bit of hand sanitizer and a couple of the individual wet ones, along with the duct tape, a little bit of electrical tape. Over kind of by some tools, I do carry tweezers as well, some safety pins, those always work out really well. Medications, I also kind of have things labeled. I have these jewelry bags, so I kind of have some Benadryl there. I have Imodium. I also write what's on it. I write the expiration date on it so I can keep on it myself, but I like using the jewelry bags, keeps things nice and flat. I can kind of organize things. Depending on people's needs, I also carry a little bit of cake icing. People that are diabetic, if they need a little bit of sugar real quick. Ibuprofen, again, everything's kind of in their small little bags. Tums, Imodium. And then for electrolyte replacement, kind of like this brand, it's called Drip Drop. Not cheap, but it works pretty well. There's a kind of bunch of electrolyte replacements, but I have been liking a Drip Drop, it's called. And then kind of for myself too, or someone who's not really feeling too well, I carry a couple of emergencies, just something to throw in. And then kind of getting more, I carry various Band-Aids, pretty straightforward there. Let's see what else I got here. A couple different sizes, a few 4x4s, those are pretty handy. And that's pretty much what I got. So I've got my trauma bag, kind of like my Act Now bag, kind of grab that red stuff sack, a couple separate bags for the cravats, and then that pre-made kit, I kind of edited myself. I kind of know, kind of switch Band-Aids over here, medications over here, and kind of organize things myself. But that's pretty much what I carry. That's all I got.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, guys. Are there any other questions? Let me patrol around on the. Not seeing any.
Rich, it looks like you got everything in the Q&A.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we're actually on time.
right.
Imagine that.
Look at us. Cool.
Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, maybe I will hand it off to Justin to kind of wrap it up and take us out as
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
With music.
It looks like there's some stuff coming through on the chat actually. So, would you guys suggest any particular first aid safety course for winter hiking or backcountry skiing? You know, I would just say any wilderness first aid course, I think would be adequate, you know, just as an entry level into there. I mean, it does kind of go on and get lengthier, the courses from there. But there are a variety of WFA courses available out there. If that's your first foray into a first aid course, I would just start there. I don't know of any off the top of my head that are actually tailored for winter specific, but gents, correct me if I'm wrong in that department.
No, there's most of the ones that are out there they're generic. I mean, and
Yeah.
there's a fair amount of them out there. The 80K puts on WFA at the up at the High Peaks Information Center in the yurts up there. I think that they do wilderness first aid. The Winter Mountaineering School has done them intermittently. I've run a couple of them for our groups that are open. Sometimes they're in Albany and sometimes they're in Buffalo. We haven't done those in 2 years now, just because of the pandemic and everything. But yeah, those will restart once everybody's vaccinated and the pandemic goes away. So
Yeah. I am. I'm sorely in need to recertify myself. Yeah, you know, I just want to send a heartfelt thank you to everyone attending tonight and my fellow panelists, Eric and Joe and Rich for helping moderate, and in the 80K as well. I know we have a few representatives of the 80K on tonight helping host these little webinars we've been doing, and we'll continue on. So thank you, huge thank you. I think without you, we wouldn't be able to do anything this year. So right on. And yeah, just stay in touch, stay involved with us. I think we'll have a recorded copy of this out to everyone available later on. You know, fingers crossed, 2022 we'll be running a program, and we'll all be back out in the woods and preaching the, you know, saying the good word of Winter Mountaineering School again. So thank you, everybody. Cool. That is all I have.
thank you, everybody.
Excellent. Stay safe out there, everyone.
Yep. Be well.
Be well.
See you later.